So if I give you a glass of water and then I piss in it and then I add sugar, it doesn't remove the piss.
True.
These are both independent things. This is what tends to happen. This is what we don't understand about trauma. Removing the piss requires removing the piss. No amount of sugar will take it out of the drink. Okay?
Right.
So this is mistake number one. No amount of building something good will remove something bad. Okay? So healing, and it's also like, if I break a leg, no amount of bench press will heal my leg. Like, I can build as much as I want to. I can fix my hair. I can brush my teeth, but the leg is broken. The leg is broken. Same is true of the mind.
Ted said he's standing on business while sitting crisscross.
I said I'm never coming back again. Next I stepped away from the mirror. I got my mind made up now, cause I can see the future much clearer. What's happening? I've said it before, I'm not a fan of the current era of the idea of trauma. And the reason I'm not is because people can explain having trauma or being around toxic people, but they actually don't explain the traumatic experience. And I take it as you don't explain the traumatic experiences because you don't have any, or that if you say it out loud, it's not going to be taken as traumatic. So, as he said, it's like having a cup of water and somebody pissing in it and then adding sugar. It doesn't change this piss in the water. What I see are people who say they dealt with trauma are the serial pissers in the water. They're the ones who they're doing stuff that's pissing in everybody's water and going, oh, but I went through trauma. And it's like, nah, the trauma was you was pissing in the water as a kid and you got your ass whipped for it, and the ass whipping became the trauma, but not you pissing in the water. And you see it because it's unfortunate to say this, society isn't built for consequences anymore. You get what I'm saying? You get, like I saw a clip of a captain on a ship. I guess he was in a ship somewhere in the Gulf, I'm guessing, and because of the way the weather looked. And he told the people on the boat that rented the boat for the day that wanted to go fishing, he told them, stay away from the throttle. Stay away from the throttle area, which is at the back of the boat with the propellers, right? And they showed him going off and cussing them out. But the captain wound up getting online and saying, I told these people to stay away from the throttle, but at the back of the boat. We caught some fish. The guy wanted to take pictures, and I told him, just hold on a second. When we get moving, you can take all the pictures you want. But the guy didn't want to listen because he just wanted to go do what he wanted to do, right? It's a father there with, I guess, his wife and his kids, and none of them are listening. And he walks to the back of the boat, hits the throttle. The captain almost falls off the ship, but not just off the ship. He almost fell into the propellers that were moving. So he caught it right before he got his face cut off. And he was able to balance himself, get back all the way in the boat, and he cussed them out. And the thing is, they were like, oh, what's the problem? They don't understand. Okay, we could just go back to the shore. It's like, no. And I say that because the man and his kids will say, the captain gave us a traumatic experience. But they won't say, oh, we almost killed him because we didn't want to listen. But he's alive, so it's not a big deal. That's what I mean by the serial pissers in the water. Like, I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. Old school, if it was like 40 years ago and they did that, since they all had life jackets, he probably would have threw them all off the boat and went back to shore without them. Like, y'all go get them. They try to kill me. No, they gonna see what it's like being out in the water then. That's just honest, and what I'm saying is not an exaggeration. You get what I'm saying? It's not an exaggeration. It's literally what somebody would have done. And because I guess I understand the thinking of that era or whatever, a lot of what I see, what I hear is trauma now. It's like it's not trauma. That's not trauma. I saw a chick with what is it, Tony Robbins? I want to say it's Tony Robbins, and she said she had trauma because her dad hit her, and because he never hits me, he never tells me no. Oh, come to find out, he hit her with a slipper, and and it's like a slipper, really? You got trauma from a slipper? And then he had to tell. He said, yeah, because her life is so good that this slipper is the most traumatic thing she's ever had, basically. And that's what I look at the current idea of trauma now. Y'all are too well manicured to have all this traumatic stuff. And let me go back. You do like so. I came from an era where the parents were abusive to each other. You get what I'm saying? And they could abuse the kids, right? You can have parent on drugs, you crack addict, heroin, you know, at the time pothead, right? Alcoholics, and all of the bad stuff that goes along with it, right? You had people, you had girls who was touched as kids, you know, people assaulted them. Some of our parents have been assaulted. We had cops pulling guns on us. Not even teenagers. You get what I'm saying? Put your hands on the car. If you move, we'll blow your head off. You know, just um, not to mention like just regular things that might happen, like you get in a car wreck, you break your leg or break your just any kind of regular stuff, right? But a lot of that wasn't looked, what was traumatic was looked at as traumatic, but the other stuff wasn't. The other stuff wasn't. It was just like, oh, okay, all right. And now it's like, um, y'all living good, y'all eating good, and the trauma is basically in your head. You know, you can't. Life is so hard because life is so good. Like it's like y'all tripping. Like the things that I said don't normally happen to people. Y'all trauma is y'all became a drug addict because I can't shut off my brain. You're not supposed to shut off your brain. If you shut off your brain, you'd be dead. That's just simple stuff. A coach cussed at you. Oh, the trauma. Your parents cussed at you. Oh my god. And that's why, like the young lady was like, he talk about trauma sitting there with his legs crossed. That's the issue. Yeah, it doesn't look. You people don't look like trauma. You look like entitled, spoiled, and privileged. And the reason I said that way because just because I talked about older era does not mean we didn't see people who didn't have trauma who were trying to say they had trauma. You get what I'm saying? And that's what it looks like. It looks like, you know, the kids, oh man, I had it so hard. Oh, I wanted a BMW and they got me a Chevy. I had it so hard. You know, instead of going to Venice, they sent me to Cancun. I had it so hard. It's that type of stuff, bro. And because of that entitlement, y'all pissing everybody else's water. Y'all go out in public and be complete utter assholes because you're accustomed to being assholes, because you're not accustomed to being slapped in the face for being an asshole, because we're quote unquote out of that era, because people need to talk to you. You got to talk to me. You got to treat me right. You got to sing to me. You got to rub my back and rub my stomach and hold me and sing me a lullaby. And then I'll calm down as a savage beast that has never done anything savage in my life. But it's like, because my trauma, it's like, shut the fuck up. So I'm just saying, like, the trauma shit is overrated. It's very overrated, you know. And until y'all start saying what y'all trauma is, don't say you got trauma. It really don't. 'Cause some of you, and I might talk about this in another video. Some of y'all motherfuckers swear to God y'all got trauma, and y'all trauma is really somebody who been you've been dependent on told you no. And then the world is falling. It's like, shut up. Shut the fuck up. But I'm done, man. Peace.